It's 11:47 p.m. You've been scrolling for an hour. Every house that doesn't require a hazmat suit and a construction crew costs $500,000. The kitchen has countertops from the Bush administration. The carpet is the color of sadness. The yard is the size of a hotel bathroom, and the listing agent has the audacity to call it charming and a great starter home. You start doing math in your head. Your salary, your savings, your rent, your student loans, and you realize something that makes your stomach drop. Either you missed a massive promotion somewhere, or the entire housing market has collectively lost its grip on reality. Spoiler alert, it's not you. Here's the thing nobody tells you when you're sitting at that kitchen table dreaming about your first home. There's a massive difference between what a bank will approve you for and what you can actually afford without turning your life into a financial stress simulator. The bank looks at your income, your credit score, and your existing debts. They run a formula. If the numbers fit, they say yes. But that formula doesn't ask how you'll feel when the water heater explodes. It doesn't ask if you'll still be able to sleep at night when the property tax bill arrives. It doesn't ask if you want to ever take a vacation again. In dozens of American cities right now, $500,000 is the entry price. That's not a mansion. That's not a dream home. That's a 1,200 square foot box with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a backyard the size of a parking space. In cities like Denver, Austin, Nashville, or anything within commuting distance of a major metro, this is what normal people are expected to somehow come up with for normal houses. The median household income in America is around $84,000. So we're asking people who make $84,000 to buy homes that cost 6 times their annual earnings. 6 times your income. If that sounds like bad math to you, you're not wrong. You're just paying attention. That ratio would have been considered insane a generation ago. But everyone keeps saying it's possible. The mortgage broker says you qualify. Your parents bought a house on way less. Some guy on TikTok says you can do it with no money down and a side hustle. So what's the problem? The problem is that the word affordable has been redefined. What used to mean won't destroy your life now means the bank thinks you can probably make the payment if absolutely nothing goes wrong for the next 360 months. Let's start with the down payment. This is where most people's homeownership dreams go to die quietly, often without them even realizing it. The old rule was 20% down. On a $500,000 house, that's $100,000. In cash, let that number sit with you for a second. $100,000. That's more than many people make in 2 years. The average American savings account has about $8,000 in it. Let me put that in perspective. The average person has saved roughly 8% of what they need for a 20% down payment. You're not a little short. You're not even close. You're in a different universe. It's like showing up to buy a Ferrari with a piggy bank and a handful of loose change. The math just isn't there. Before you say you'll just save it, let's do that math too. Say you're making $84,000 a year and you somehow manage to save 10% of your gross income, which almost nobody does because rent and bills exist. You're saving $8,400 per year. At that rate, it'll take you almost 12 years to save the down payment. 12 years, assuming housing prices don't go up, which they absolutely will. While you're saving, that $500,000 house becomes $600,000, then $700,000. You're running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. So you do what most people do. You put down 5% or 10% instead. You scrape together $25,000 or $50,000 from every corner of your life. Congratulations, you've just unlocked a new monthly expense called PMI, private mortgage insurance. This is a fee you pay every month for the crime of not having rich parents or a trust fund. It runs anywhere from $200 to $400 per month. And here's the kicker. It protects the bank, not you. If you stop paying, the bank gets their money back. You get nothing. You're paying extra money every month for insurance that the bank buys to protect itself from you. Think about how backwards that is. You're being charged for the privilege of being considered risky, even though you've done nothing wrong. Now let's talk about what happens after you buy the house. Because here's the thing nobody warns you about. The purchase price is just the beginning. It's not even the main event. It's the cover charge to get into a club where everything costs extra. You put down 10%. That's $50,000 that you somehow found. Maybe from savings, maybe from family, maybe from selling your soul. That leaves you with a $450,000 loan. At current interest rates, somewhere in the 6% to 7% range depending on your credit, your monthly mortgage payment will be somewhere between $2,700 and $2,900. That's just principal and interest. Now add property taxes. Depending on where you live, that's another $4,000 to $8,000 per year. Call it $500 per month. And property taxes don't stay the same. They go up. Every year. Because local governments need more money and your house is a convenient piggy bank. Homeowners insurance. Thanks to climate change making everything more expensive to insure, this has skyrocketed. Fires, floods, hurricanes, tornadoes. Even if you don't live in a high-risk area, your premiums have gone up. Another $250 to $350 per month. Maintenance. The thing everyone forgets about until the water heater explodes at 11 p.m. on a Sunday in the middle of winter. The rule of thumb is 1% of your home's value per year for maintenance and repairs. On a $500,000 house, that's $5,000 annually. About $417 per month. And that's just average. Some years you'll spend less. Some years you'll spend $10,000 when the roof needs replacing or the HVAC dies. And don't forget that PMI we talked about. Add another $200 to $400 per month. Let's add this up. Mortgage, property taxes, homeowners insurance, maintenance, PMI. Your total monthly housing cost is now roughly $4,300, and that's assuming nothing breaks. No new roof, no surprise HOA special assessment, no foundation crack, no termites, no mold. Now here's the part that financial advisors don't like to talk about because it's depressing. The rule says you shouldn't spend more than 28% of your gross income on housing. If you're spending $4,300 per month on housing and that's 28% of your income, you need to make roughly $185,000 per year. If we use the more generous 43% rule that banks use when they're approving loans, you still need to make around $150,000 per year to fit within their guidelines. Only about 10% to 20% of American households make $150,000 or more. Let me say that again. Only 10% to 20% of American households earn enough to comfortably afford a $500,000 house. That means 80% of Americans cannot afford a median-priced home in dozens of American cities. This isn't a matter of opinion. This isn't about being good with money or bad with money. This is just numbers being brutally honest with you. You might be sitting there thinking, but people are buying these houses. Someone is making it work. Why can't I? Let me show you what making it work actually looks like. Because the people buying these houses fall into three categories. Some have too high-paying incomes, some have family money helping with the down payment, and some are stretching themselves so thin that one bad week could break them completely. Let's focus on that third group, because they're the ones pretending everything is fine while drowning underneath. Meet a household we'll call the Taylors. Two working professionals, combined income of $160,000, solidly upper middle class by any measure. They have good jobs, good credit, good intentions. They should be fine, right? Let's see what happens when they buy that $500,000 house. Their $160,000 sounds great until the government shows up for its cut. After federal taxes, state taxes, FICA, and a small 401k contribution, because they're trying to be responsible, they're taking home about $9,500 per month. Now subtract that $4,300 housing cost we calculated. They're left with $5,200 for everything else in their lives. That sounds like a lot until you start listing the things that life actually costs. 2 car payments, they both need to commute to work. That's $800, car insurance for 2 vehicles, another $250, gas. Nothing in suburbia is walkable. $300, student loans. They needed those degrees to get the jobs that qualified them for the mortgage. $600. Health insurance premiums that their employers don't fully cover. $400. Groceries for a family trying to eat reasonably healthy. $800 if they're careful. Utilities, electricity, water, gas, internet, phones, $450. We're now at $1,600 left for the entire month. And we haven't even touched clothing, entertainment, kids' activities, car repairs, medical copays, haircuts, gifts, or the basic human need to occasionally leave the house and feel like a person instead of a mortgage payment machine. No savings for emergencies, no extra retirement beyond that modest 401k, no vacations, no breathing room, no margin for error. This household is spending 45% of their take-home pay on housing, not 28%, not 35%. Almost half of every dollar they earn goes to the house before they've bought a single thing they actually want. And here's the thing that makes this heartbreaking. These aren't irresponsible people. They're not buying boats or jet skis or flying first class to Paris. They're not eating out every night or wearing designer clothes. They're just trying to live in a house that the market tells them is normal. And they're failing at it anyway. Let me describe what that actually feels like day to day. Because the numbers are one thing. The lived experience is something else entirely. It feels like checking your bank account before you buy groceries. Not because you're budgeting, but because you're not sure if you can cover the total. It feels like telling your kid they can't go on the school field trip because that $35 might be needed if the check engine light comes on this week. It feels like lying awake at 2 a.m. doing mental math about whether you can afford new tires this month or if you should push it to next month and just pray it doesn't rain on your commute. It feels like being one unexpected expense away from disaster, all the time, every day, the low-grade anxiety that never goes away. The furnace dies in January. That's $6,000 you don't have. You put it on a credit card telling yourself you'll pay it off in a few months. You won't. Someone hits your car in the parking lot. Your deductible is $1,000. You don't have it. It goes on the same credit card. Your kid falls off their bike and needs stitches. Even with insurance, that's $500 out of pocket. Another credit card swipe. You own a house, technically, though the bank has the real claim for the next 3 decades. But you can't afford to enjoy it. You can't afford to maintain it properly. You definitely can't afford to decorate it the way you dreamed. Every unexpected expense becomes a crisis. Every financial decision is filtered through one question that lives in the back of your mind constantly. Can we still make the mortgage payment this month? You become a prisoner in your own home, working at a job you might hate because you can't risk any disruption to your income, watching your savings slowly drain away, wondering why this is what success feels like, wondering where you went wrong when you did everything you were supposed to do. Here's what makes this whole situation so frustrating. The system is not designed to tell you the truth. It's designed to keep the machine running. Sellers list houses at $500,000 because that's what comparable houses sold for. They don't care if you can afford it. They care about getting their number. Banks approve you at 43% debt to income because technically you can make the payment if nothing goes wrong. They don't care if you'll be able to save for retirement or take a vacation or handle an emergency. Real estate agents encourage you to stretch because their commission depends on you closing. Every dollar you spend is a dollar in their pocket. Mortgage brokers get paid when you sign the papers, not when you're still happy 5 years later. Nobody in that transaction gets paid when you say, actually, this doesn't make sense for me. I'm going to wait. Nobody profits from your caution. Nobody profits from your patience. The system is designed to get you into the house. It is not designed to make sure you're okay once you're there. And once you sign those papers, you're locked in. You can't change your mind 6 months later without destroying your credit, losing everything you put in, and walking away with nothing. The house owns you now. So people stay. They stay in houses they can barely afford. They stay in jobs they hate because they can't risk any income disruption. They watch their savings slowly drain away and wonder why they feel so trapped when they're supposedly living the American dream. So people stay. They stay in houses they can barely afford. They stay in jobs they hate because they can't risk any income disruption. They watch their savings slowly drain away and wonder why they feel so trapped when they're supposedly living the American dream. This isn't about personal failure. It's not about not working hard enough. It's about a housing market that is completely detached from income reality. Home prices have gone up about 400% since 1990. Incomes have gone up about 180% in the same period. The math is broken. It has been broken for years. And yet we keep pretending it's fine. We keep telling people to just work harder, save more, skip the avocado toast. So what do you do if you're looking at a $500,000 house right now and your household income is anywhere under $140,000? Here's my honest advice. Stop. Just stop. You're about to make a decision that will shape and potentially strain the next decade of your life. And the numbers are not on your side. They're not close to being on your side. I don't care what the bank says you qualify for. I don't care what your real estate agent says is normal for your market. I don't care that your friend somehow made it work. I don't care that your parents think you should buy because they bought their house for 3 times their income. The numbers don't care about your feelings. They don't care about your kitchen renovation dreams. They don't care about your Instagram feed. They just are what they are. Let me give you permission to do something that feels radical in a world where everyone is telling you to stretch. You can choose not to play this game. You can look at a $500,000 house, run the real numbers, and decide it's not worth sacrificing your financial stability, your mental health, your ability to sleep at night, and your chance to build actual wealth. You can keep renting. You can save aggressively. You can wait for a market that makes sense. You can look at cheaper markets or smaller homes. You can acknowledge that the version of homeownership your parents had is not the version available to you. And that's not your fault. That's just math. That's just the reality of where we are. Let's bring this together with a quick recap before we wrap up. 1. A $500,000 house needs a $100,000 down payment at 20%. Most people have about $8,000 saved. The gap is not small. It's a canyon you can't see across. 2. Your actual monthly housing cost isn't just the mortgage. Add property taxes, homeowner's insurance, maintenance, and PMI. You're looking at roughly $4,300 per month. That's the real number. 3. To afford that comfortably without financial stress, you need to make $150,000 to $185,000 per year. That's out of reach for 80% of American households. 4. A household making $160,000 ends up spending nearly half their take-home pay on housing. That's not comfort. That's survival mode with a picket fence. 5. The system wants you to stretch. Your real estate agent, your bank, your mortgage broker, the insurance company, they all profit when you buy. Nobody profits when you say no. That's not an accident. Here's what actually builds wealth. It's not owning a house that keeps you up at night doing mental math. It's having room in your budget. It's being able to invest consistently every month. It's not having to choose between fixing the roof and contributing to your retirement account. It's sleeping through the night without anxiety about next month's payment. Real wealth is freedom. It's options. It's the ability to say no to a job you hate because you have savings. It's not being trapped by the very thing that was supposed to make you secure. The housing industry has done an incredible job convincing people that buying is always the right move, that you should stretch as far as possible, that renting is throwing money away. But here's what they don't tell you. Being unable to afford your mortgage is also throwing money away, just with extra steps and worse consequences. A foreclosure is worse than a lease ending. A missed payment is worse than rent. So if you're sitting there feeling priced out, feeling like home ownership is slipping away from you, feeling like you're failing at some life milestone that everyone else seems to be hitting, I need you to hear this clearly. You're not failing. The system is failing you. Run your real numbers. Be honest about your income. Be honest about your stability. Be honest about what kind of life you actually want to live. Do you want a house that owns you, or do you want freedom? If the math doesn't work, walk away. There's no trophy for buying a house that makes you miserable. There's no prize for being house poor. The real win is making decisions based on reality, not pressure. On math, not emotion. On your actual life, not the one you're supposed to want. If this video helped you see through the noise, hit that like button. It helps more people find it. And subscribe if you want more videos about the actual math of money, not what the industry wants you to believe, not what your parents think, what actually works for real people in 2026. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, what's the most expensive house you've ever considered buying? Did you run the numbers first? Did you stretch? Did you walk away? What did you learn from the experience? Be honest. Be specific. Let's fill the comments with real stories. Maybe your story will help someone else who's sitting at midnight scrolling through houses they can't afford, wondering if they're the only one who feels this way. I read them. I'll be in there. Let's figure this out together. Thanks for watching. Do the math. Be honest with yourself. Don't let a house own you. See you in the next one.